Andrea Kirkwood. I'm a professor of biological science at Ontario Tech University. Yeah, I think as far back as I can remember, as a young child, I loved being in the outdoors. I was very curious. One of my favorite shows as a kid was The Nature of Things. I used to watch with my grandfather, and I loved any sort of outdoor education program at my school. Well, I enjoy all of the courses that I teach here in the Faculty of Science at Ontario Tech University, but I have to say my favorite child, if you will, is the course that's most closely related to my field of research and experience, and that is a fourth-year course in aquatic ecology. Well, I've been at Ontario Tech University for a fairly long time, and enough time to know that what sets our program apart from other universities is that our students have more opportunities to get to know the professors, to get research experience as well. And also, too, we have great specializations that prepare students for medicine, for biotechnology, and in my field, environmental biology. So my research program focuses in the area of aquatic ecology. And so my lab actually covers quite a lot of areas from lakes to wetlands to streams, because we're really interested in the impact of humans on freshwater ecosystems. And so the funny tagline for our lab is everything but fish. So we study plants and algae and bacteria and even invertebrates. And so currently in our lab, we have two main field projects that are happening right now. One is in Lake Ontario, where we're trying to understand the nuisance algae problem along the beaches. So for people who live in Durham region, they may notice that there's wash up of algae on the beaches, and we're trying to understand what causes that. And so another project that's happening in my lab at this time too is in stormwater management ponds. So you may notice that there's these ponds in the neighborhood that you live in, and you may think it's there because it looks pretty with the plants, and there's probably turtles and other birds that are attracted to it, but actually it has a function of storing flood water. So whenever it storms, the water runs into these ponds and it's stored there, and then it's gradually released back into natural waterways. And so we're trying to understand the ecology of these systems, and we have a really cool project happening where we're using drones to measure their size and their plant cover, and relating that to the macroinvertebrates. So the bugs that live in these ponds can tell us how healthy these systems are to support biodiversity. Well, I have to say that the impact to rule them all is climate change. And climate change is no longer something that's happening in the future, but we're seeing the impacts now. And climate change has particularly impacted freshwater ecosystems, which we study in my lab, with respect to the heat waves and more extreme storms, and just really changing the conditions that the organisms have evolved to deal with it. Now they're much more stressed, in addition to all of the other human impacts like land use change and pollution and so forth. So I would definitely say climate change is the undercurrent to all of the research that we do in my lab. Yes, I've been very fortunate to have had some very stellar students pass through the lab, whether they're doing their honors thesis project or as graduate students. And many of them have gone on to actually work in the environmental sector, because the type of research we do in my lab is what we call applied research. And so they're learning a lot of skills that are attractive to future employers, such as statistical analyses and field collections, as well as lab protocols. So pretty much most of them have either working for the government or consulting companies. A number of them have gone on to education to become teachers and college professors, and so all of those skills have really benefited them as they moved on into their careers. Yes, collaboration is actually a really important part of the research that we do in my lab. The name of our lab is the Collaborative Lab in Environmental Aquatic Research, CLEAR for short, because we do so much what we call research co-production with community partners, such as stewardship groups, government agencies, federal, provincial, even municipal, where we work with, not at the end where we give them a final product of research, but we actually work with them at the beginning and scope out our research to decide what are the areas of research we want to focus on, what would be useful information for our community partners to get. So for example, we've done many research projects with conservation authorities. And of course, they're very interested in understanding how our aquatic ecosystems support biodiversity and healthy aquatic systems such as lakes and rivers. And so we will study water quality and we'll focus on certain parameters. They might be interested in, for example, nuisance algae that's growing along the shorelines of Lake Ontario. There's also a big interest in salt pollution in our lakes and rivers. And so we can make sure that we're studying the right types of environmental parameters, is what we call them, so that we're providing information for our partners to use, whether it's in developing environmental policies or into educating local residents on how to protect their local waterways from getting polluted. So overall, the students get a great experience. Not only are they becoming scientists, but they are seeing how their science has impact, and they're able to communicate with a whole variety of, whether it's the public or community partners, to determine what is it that they're most interested in. And if they don't understand what we're doing, we learn very quickly how to translate the science so that it's actually understood by our partners as well. And it's been a very successful type of collaboration over the years, and hence why the name includes collaboration or collaborative in the very first part of its name.